Oh, mercy! You are listening to the SurgeCast on whatever podcasting network you download this stuff on.
A part of the Hockey Podcast Network.
Canes fans, you're listening to SurgeCast, the second best podcast out there.
Follow us on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Now, let's get into the episode. Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of the SurgeCast. Cat, the offseason feels like it has lasted forever, but we're here to give you a little bit of content before we really start ramping up into training camp and the season. So we've got a Mount Rushmore of Carolina Hurricanes that we're going to get into here shortly. But first, we're going to touch on some quick news and notes on the Carolina Hurricanes. A trade was made. However, it was not Alexander Nikishin. It was for Steven Sadarian, acquired for future considerations. But it sounds like he might play with the Wolves this year. So it'll be interesting to see if he makes a big enough impact to end up in a Canes sweater in those last couple of games at the end of the season. But Tolski's cooking. So that was one news to know. Normally don't touch on the AHL, but it's been so slow that there's another move we'll touch on too. Both Slavin staying with the organization. Josiah Slavin, Jacob's brother, signed a 2-year one-way deal with the Wolves. So we probably won't see him much with the Canes. However, it's good for at least the first year of that contract, the Canes' final season of affiliation with the Chicago Wolves. So it'll be good to have that leadership that Josiah Slavin provides to those young guys down there. So those are all the exciting moves that have been made. We're still waiting for something Alexander Nikishin related to break. But we move from players to the Lenovo Center. An updating seating map has officially been released as a part of the upgrades at the arena. So more seats have been added, but less aisles are included. So that way you're not losing any space for those of you sitting in the 100s. And even if you're not sitting in the 100s, definitely be familiar with that seating chart, because whether it is for the pro shop, that's going to be across a different section than it was before, or your favorite vendor is technically going to be underneath a different section as well. So it'll take a moment to get used to what section is considered what once we get back into the Lenovo Center. Finally, the promo schedule came out. A little sad, but not surprising considering Tom Dundon runs this team. No true giveaways. We expect something will probably happen opening night, brought to you by Lenovo. But outside of that, Kat, any other promotions stand out to you in terms of the different community activations, the different ticket packages that are available?
Yeah, you'll probably get on like opening night. I'm expecting like a little banner or something on all the seats. But yeah, we're moving away from, and there might still be times throughout the season where they'll offer something for the first like certain number of fans coming in. But overall, yeah, it's a lot of it is like if you pay an extra $30 or $40, you're gonna get the special object. But yeah, looking at them, I mean, there's not a lot of big change. I mean, I love looking forward to Whalers night. That's a big one that'll always be a favorite. But yeah, there's some interesting ones though. They've got kind of a change up in like the different type of ticket packages. So like now we've got we've got a football jersey ticket package. We love our football and our college sports around here. So that one's going to be fun. We've got a Sports Girls Club ticket package. One that we're kind of, going on the vibes of the Colorado Avalanches. We got a fourth wing. So all of our book talk girlies and guys, if you're into it, are going to be really excited probably about that. But then besides that, it's some pretty typical ones with like Margaritaville and Star Wars. But overall,
mystery bag, you could get a 2023 ECF shirt.
If I get another mystery bag that has the Carolina Hurricanes versus the Florida Panthers on it, I might scream. So you can't catch me with that. But I do appreciate they also have the community activations. I feel like we're expanding on those a little bit more, which
Mhm.
is, I think, really helpful. So besides like hockey fights cancer, we've got like food insecurity awareness. I mean, with everything going on nowadays with, different types of diet culture and stuff. Talk a little bit about that. We got our teacher appreciation, ALS, women in sports. Let's hear it. Woo!
Woo.
Um, and of course, we've got all of our like military appreciations, first responders. Hockey is for everyone. So I feel like we're getting some pretty good offers. I am, like you said, it kind of stinks that there aren't looking like there's going to be some cool little giveaways or anything, but hopefully they're scattered throughout the season. Because again, we had those last season where you could get, again, a banner, a poster, certain little things here and there. But I think it'll still be fun. It's fun things to look forward to on maybe a game where you're like, do I want to go see the Canucks? Yeah, let's go for the little community activation. So either way, it's gonna be fun, a little spice up in the schedule.
Something to look forward to outside of the Canes dominating.
Exactly.
And well, speaking of domination, Kat, talking about the Canes that have dominated the most, we're getting into our Mount Rushmore of Carolina Hurricanes. Now, the way we're doing this Mount Rushmore is for Carolina Hurricanes only. That means this is post the 1997 relocation. So throw all the Whaler stats out the window. We are going exclusively off of the 1997 and beyond stats. So Carolina Hurricanes only for this Mount Rushmore. We could do a 1, 2, 3 together. We all know who both of our first picks. We'll go back and forth. We're not even picking because we can have the same. But our 1-1 picks are both going to be Rod Brind'Amour. Rod is the GOAT. That's pretty obvious. I'll list off the stats, and Kat, you can list what he means to this franchise. But as a player, captain, Stanley Cup champion, again, all these stats are just Carolina Hurricanes only. 5th in games played, 6th in goals, 4th in assists, 4th in points, and 2-time Selke winner. As a coach, Stanley Cup champion, the winningest coach in franchise history, and a 1-time Jack Adams Award winner for Coach of the Year. He is the Carolina Hurricanes.
He is, and what's really funny is I was kind of comparing him when I was looking through my list, and this person might still be on your list. But if I'm gonna compare, say, Rod versus Ron Francis, and then we're taking out of account the Whalers, I'm gonna pick Rod every time. Just because he like peak Carolina season, I'm gonna take Rod. What he means to the defense, I'm gonna take Rod. Shut down center, all around center, I'm gonna take Rod. And then just again, he's a Hurricanes like kind of legacy that way. So if you're gonna take away the Whalers, Rod has the clear edge in that aspect. So if you're gonna give the entire NHL career, I think Francis would outdo him. But if we're gonna talk, like you said, just Carolina Hurricanes playing, Rod is gonna be the face of the Mount Rushmore for sure.
Yeah, Ron is the franchise leader in most things that Sebastian Aho is not. But again, exclusively Carolina Hurricanes. Rod Brind'Amour. He is the face. He is the franchise post move. He will never not be included in any Carolina Hurricanes conversations.
And we got to remember, like I said too, for anyone that's like a big Ron Francis fan, in his Carolina Hurricanes years, we didn't get prime Ron Francis. So that would be a different discussion. But if we're just comparing them playing as Canes, it's just legacy wise. Rod just continues to be literally the face and the heart and soul of the Carolina Hurricanes, which is why last episode I was giving Rich such a hard time when we were even discussing, because we heard it anywhere else, about him leaving. I said, nope, can't picture that right now. Can't do it. That's like someone telling me that we're going to be changing our colors from red and black.
To all the idiots out there, Rod said it. He said, I'm attached to Jordan Stahl. He said in multiple interviews. I don't know if he was being serious or not. And then all the insiders reported it. So I'm not starting these rumors. People were like, you don't know what you're saying. Literally, Elliot Friedman, the Bible of insiders, is saying could be a possibility. Anywho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anything else to say about Rod? I think his resume says everything.
Especially after this year. The only thing left is for him to be put in the Hall of Fame. So that's, Francis, listen up.
Yeah, we're really helping Rod's case with Ron Francis on this one. All right, Kat, I'll hand it off to you. Who is your second person on your Carolina Hurricanes Mount Rushmore? If they are also on, I will join in on this conversation.
Okay. So I'm a defense girly, and a lot of these players that I've been looking through, that's going to be more well-rounded players, defense. But when you're talking about the greatest Canes, and we've had a lot of change in this role, and there's been a lot of names and a lot of different characters, and some ones that have pushed us in some really interesting positions, and some that are just a flicker in the night. But one name is going to stand above all, and that's going to be Mr. Cam Ward. Give me the goalie. Do you even have a goalie on your Mount Rushmore?
I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Ward is not on my list.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm going to help you out here, though, Kat. He is the Carolina Hurricanes franchise leader in pretty much every goaltending category.
Yeah. So it's really, again, what a lot of my thing was when I was looking at these players, I was looking at a lot of comparisons too. Cause there's some that you're like, if I put him, is he going to edge out this other guy, and, comparing their stats and all of this. So when I was looking at players, I was looking a little bit between him and, Urbe's name gets passed around time and time again. So Urbe actually had some better numbers at times than Cam did. But, Cam finishing the job and getting them that 2006 first Stanley Cup, especially in his rookie year. It's just, he's the clear number one. But yeah, if we're talking position wise, he's pretty much the GOAT in Hurricanes history. I'll give you some, since you don't have him on yours, I'll give you some stats. So played 701 NHL games. He has 334 wins, career save percentage 908, one Stanley Cup, one Conn Smythe, one Cup final appearance with Carolina, and he's in the Hurricanes Hall of Fame. Do you have something to add?
Well, no, I was just going to throw out his Canes specific numbers, throw away that Chicago year. I don't say that often about Chicago, but yeah, he leads by over 350 games played over Urbe. Wins almost 200 more.
Yeah, he has the record in games played, wins, and shutouts, and was the first inductee for the Hurricanes Hall of Fame. Honestly, again, if Cam is one of those also what if is I wish that we had utilized him better. I do, again, will always say that is when people are really up, they don't like the 1-2, the 1A, 1B with the goalies. He's kind of always my example of this is a really good goalie that you kind of ran into the ground overplaying him. So I will always promote goalies taking rest and us getting what we can out of them. I mean, look what happened with Freddie. Give him some rest. He has a little bit of a playoff run. We love that. So yeah, so Cam is on mine. We definitely have one off now then. Who do you have?
Yeah, I think this one, my second, this is probably on your list. He's the Hurricanes leader in goals, assists, points, second in games played, only behind his brother, Stanley Cup champion, Eric Stahl.
Mm-hmm. I actually don't have him on mine.
Eric Stahl is not. Kat, did you hear what I just said? Let me run it back in case you. Carolina Hurricanes, again, post-relocation. Carolina Hurricanes only. Leader in goals, assists, and points. Second in games played behind his brother. Stanley Cup champion. Captain. Not on your... Was that just an oversight, or do you have other guys that you think belong instead?
I think I have someone that's kind of starting to surpass him.
Wow. Okay.
It was close. It was close. I was comparing them, and I would agree with you that Eric is kind of, because I was thinking of Eric and Jordan, and it's close because Eric gives that kind of legacy that Rod Brind'Amour does. But I'm actually leaning towards a player that's kind of surpassing him. Do you have any more you want to say about Eric? This isn't me hating on Eric. This was literally where I would. This is where I would give them, like, they would split the spot if I could.
So this is your last. This would have been your last spot, Eric Stahl and the other player, which we'll get to in a second. Of when you have your top four.
Yeah.
This is like almost like a 4A 4B type deal. Okay. I just want to repeat it one more time. First in goals, first in assists, first in points.
He just wants to make it so if anyone wants to shit on me in the comments.
Crazy. Anywho, so we'll get. So we don't have that. You have Rod Brind'Amour, Cam Ward. We'll get to your mystery guy in a second, but then who is your number 3 on your? Or actually, if you want to go 4, figure out who surpassed Eric Stahl. I think that would be a better jumping point in this conversation, because we're not ranking them 1 through 4. It's more just Mount Rushmore is the top 4. Them. Yeah. So who do you have in place on your Carolina Hurricanes Mount Rushmore instead of Eric Stahl?
So who I have, and it's not, when I read it to you, it's not going to be that kind of crazy of a surprise, but let me pull up the numbers again so I have them in front of me.
And you're going career with the Hurricanes and not just career numbers? Because this is a very different conversation when you go career numbers versus numbers just with the Canes.
Yes. I'm looking at it strictly Carolina playing careers, I believe.
Yes.
Let me double check it. I'm pretty sure I have that, but I'm double checking it.
So we wait in suspense.
Stop.
On who belongs on the Carolina Hurricanes Mount Rushmore over Eric Stahl.
And
number retired, by the way.
And with that, we're going to throw to a quick ad break, and we'll be right back, and you'll see who I picked.
What a crazy transition. Yep. We'll be back with our second half of our Canes Mount Rushmore. But first, preseason football is here. Football is back. We love that. The regular season will be here before we know it. College football will be here before you know it as well. You can get in on the action with DraftKings. They have you covered every step of the way. The DraftKings Sports app is now available in all 50 states and includes all markets. So get in on the action. New DraftKings customers sign up with code THPN. Spend $5 to get $200 in rewards within 21 days. Again, that is code THPN. Get in on the action with DraftKings.
Bet with DK Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, bet text pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Void in Ontario. Event contract trading with DraftKings predictions involves risk of loss. Sportsbook bonus bets expire in 7 days. $50 in predictions dollars issued weekly for 3 weeks expire in 1 year. Redeem one non-withdrawable reward. Availability varies. Predictions offer void in New York. Ends June 28th. Terms at dkng.co/audio.
Drum roll, please.
Okay. I had some numbers that weren't Canes, I think, and I have a lot of reasoning for this. Let me tell you, I did have Eric Stahl on this, and then I just factored in a couple of other things. And one of them is because this player isn't done yet. And I think they're so close in taking so many of these accomplishments and going further with them. I'm putting Sebastian Aho.
He is also on my Mount Rushmore. So I'm interested to see who our other one will be then. Yeah, if you want, I mean, yeah, for Fishy, we could break it down for both of us. Second in Carolina Hurricanes history in goals, second in assists, second in points, fourth in games played. He is your Carolina Hurricanes leader in shorthanded goals, game-winning goals, and playoff goals. Stanley Cup champion. To your point, Kat, he's catching up in what seems to be every statistical category on Eric Stahl. He's probably going to surpass him fairly soon. What has Fishy not done?
That's kind of the thing is like he is pretty much at Eric Stahl. Like if you're gonna say peak player, like at their peak, because Eric Stahl had the like pretty much greatest Carolina Hurricane season in 2006. You probably still edge out with Eric Stahl, but Aho is so close in so many categories, and he's got so much more going forward. Like he's at almost the height of Stahl's numbers, and he's not ending. He's not even captain yet, which we're all expecting him to be. So, but it's literally like if you're looking at it for a while, I was like, okay, so it's just Eric Stahl by like this much of a margin, and like a little bit more if you're talking again like the Rod Brind'Amour effect of like legacy. But Aho's not done. And if they're so close in all of these categories and Aho's even taken over some of them, I think he's going to surpass him. And it's just Aho, I think, is one of the greatest offensive players in Carolina history besides Eric's big playoff year and when they won the cup. That'll be again the greatest single season by a Hurricane. But I don't know. It's so close. That's what I'm saying. It was hard. Like, again, legacy wise, go Eric, but Aho is right there. So I had to take him. You're muted, my friend. You were so shocked by my pick. Still muted. What did you do? Did you just shut off on me?
No, who knows with this mic. Sebastian Aho's on my Mount Rushmore of Canes as well for those reasons. I mean,
it's not that shock. It's actually more of a shock of probably of who I picked for this other one and who you
of who's next. Yeah. So let's get into that. I'll start on my final Mount Rushmore. So let's recap. I have Rod Brind'Amour, Eric Stahl, and Sebastian Aho. Kat has Rod Brind'Amour, Cam Ward, and Sebastian Aho. My final Mount Rushmore of Carolina Hurricanes is Jordan Stahl.
Oh, okay.
Conn Smythe winner, Stanley Cup champion, captain, most games played as a Carolina Hurricane, fourth in goals, third in points, third in assists. It would have been maybe different if he didn't go on this magical playoff run that he did. But I think after he did that, he cemented himself on the Mount Rushmore of Carolina Hurricanes. To me, Jordan Stahl deserves that spot. Now you can make the Conn Smythe argument for Cam Ward too if you want, but I'm using it for Jordan Stahl just based on everything he did and the way he's been with this team throughout some dark years and has been able to pull them out of the mud with Rod Brind'Amour and being able to lead them as captain into the success that they have had in the Rod Brind'Amour era and the success they had in the 2026 playoff run and the 2026 Stanley Cup Finals. Arguably one of the greatest Stanley Cup performances of all time as well. Dude went on an absolute tear. To me, Jordan Stahl belongs on the Carolina Hurricanes Mount Rushmore.
He is probably like even comparing him, if you compare him to his brother, is like the greater long-term captain and defensive piece. Like again, it leads with the legacy. And I agree. I had Jordan. So going into then what you would say is my final pick, I had just outside of the top 4. I had Jordan Stahl and I had Justin Williams. Those are my 2, 5, and 6 pieces.
Okay.
If
Bubble
I'm gonna-
guys.
Yeah. So if we did top 10, like we're good.
Okay.
We're gonna say just 4. I'm honestly, you should kind of guess actually who I'm gonna say. But that would belong to Jacob Slavin.
See, I think
why are you surprised by
no,
that?
I'm not. He is in my honorable mentions. Stanley Cup champion, alternate captain, great all-around defenseman, third in games played and for Canes only.
One of us clearly values defense more than the other one.
No, it's a similar argument for folks that would want Glenn Wesley on there. Same-ish reasons. And just, again, what Jacob Slavin means to the team and just his leadership. It's so underrated in every area. Like, I don't mean to sound like the NHL media on this, where I disrespect him until he shows up in like 4 nations or the Olympics. That's not what I'm doing here. I think if you think of like the impact of a Jordan Stahl versus a Jacob Slavin, I think Jordan's impact has been greater. Recognized more, not to say Slavos hasn't, but I think for what he did, Jordan Stahl in this playoff run deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore. When you look back at the history of the Carolina Hurricanes, that is why he makes my list versus Jacob Slavin. But please, the floor is yours for the Jacob Slavin argument.
I think we just viewed this a little bit differently. Shocker, I know. It's just kind of like if you're building a monument and want to represent franchise history, and then I just think of different position wise. So again, why I thought of our number like top goalie. So I think looking at what he's done in the Canes history, you can't really. Sorry, I don't think you can really find a defender that's better than him playing against guys that he's the caliber of players he's playing against now. Like, we joke that he's got McDavid in his back pocket, but it's true. He plays against McDavid. He plays against Draisaitl. He even plays against, Celebrini, all of them. Like, was this last season his best season? No, but he's coming off injury. And he's like, the first time all of us were like, oh my gosh, he's human. Because he plays against such a high caliber and he's still making it look effortless. All the players are like, he just does it so easily. Like, and he's humble about it and his leadership. So some of the factors looking at it besides, position wise, was he's, again, probably the best defenseman in Hurricanes only history. He's been a major part in every playoff run. His entire career is with Carolina. His leadership overall, I just like, again, we talked about like when he was out and like when we struggled with our defense and what we have is like, you can't picture success without a player like that, in my opinion. So
it's a fair point.
And I think again, like he's there's a difference. So like with Jordan Stahl, you've got that family legacy part of it. You've got all this, like, yeah, he's your main captain, but like they can't all fit that role. And I think for the role that Slavin fits into, you don't have someone else really to compare to him. And so like if we're looking at, I don't know, different position wise and stuff like that, I don't know. I got to put Slavin up there again, though. Like Jordan Stahl, Justin Williams, they were like right there. And like I had a bunch of like ties because they were all like, the top ones, but you only get 4.
Yeah,
so,
for Jacob
and I might
Slavin,
be a little biased on Slavin. Sorry about it. But
for Jacob Slavin, it's probably like the Norris voting, where you value things more than the NHL media and the voters do.
Yeah.
Where I think in situations like this, I think I tend to value stats more. But you're talking about.
But if that's the case, see that yes, I think you're exactly correct with that thinking. Which is why, but for the Canes, and we're talking about Canes history, is like we value more than the numbers. I mean, look how beloved.
I value trophies.
I know, but look how beloved, like Jordan Martin, like Are we going to get all where we are without our ultimate hype man and guy that's keeping us going, moving forward? Like, there's so much more than the numbers. But, I mean, Slavin has numbers that speak behind him, too. So, kind of a mix there for me. It's just not maybe the numbers you're wanting.
Franchise leader and plus minus. There you go. If you wanted a number for Jacob
Mr.
Slavin.
Nothing. Nothing happens on the ice when Slavin is there.
Anything else you want to say about Jacob Slavin? That was hypothetical. I think you said it all. Let's get into the honorable.
I could keep going, but
let's get into the honorable mentions and snubs. So we touched on Ron Francis a little bit, but again, he was more dominant with the Hartford Whalers. If you went to the full franchise story, that would be different. Justin Williams left off. Again, Canes legend, but I think when you go into the numbers and in the impact for the Carolina Hurricanes, he would certainly make a top 10, be an argument for a top 5, but he missed the mark. Glenn Wesley, we brought up.
Game 7 for a reason. He's got a lot of iconic moments tied to him. So I think he's not in the top 4, but he's definitely right on the edge there for sure.
Yeah. And Glenn Wesley, number retired, but same thing. A little bit of a mix of, I believe some of that was a part of his time in Hartford, which then he came over to the Canes. Some people make the argument for him. For me, just to make the list. You know, it's a fun one, though, Kat, that if we look back maybe 5 years from now and redo this list, you know who I think could be on here? If the Canes become a dynasty, Eric Tolsky deserves a spot on this list. Between all the moves he made, if he gets through the Mikko Rantanen trade, and then everything he did was signing the guys the way they did, and who knows if he makes a monster trade this season or the next, and the Canes win like 2 more cups, Eric Tolsky will make the Carolina Hurricanes Mount Rushmore. Hasn't yet. He's made a hell of a moves to get the Canes to this point, but if they truly become a dynasty and Eric Tolsky is the architect of that, he will be on the Canes Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Okay. I could see it. Doing non-players, throwing them in there.
Hey, let's make it a... Why not go become a dynasty, huh?
But yeah, we hear, listen, we both, again, our list differed probably a little bit more than we expected. There's quite a few that like could have been in there. Honestly, top 10 is probably easier than just narrowing down to 4. Again, hearing us just compare and talk about the different ones is like, they each have their own reason to be. And these are all names that we can say here and there, like why they should be in there. And no one's saying really, they all have their different aspects, different qualities, not one really above the other. We didn't list like 1 through 4. But yeah, there's some names. Again, we talk about some ones from like, Eric Cole, Jeff O'Neill. There's so many that you could probably put in the top 10. And I'm sure everyone, like whoever's listening, your list will probably be different than ours. It's also different ways that you viewed the players and you saw like their value and what they meant to you as they were playing. Again, why I see Cam Ward and Jacob Slavin up there in the top 4. I think, and especially with, Rod Brind'Amour era, I think our defensive game has been kind of one of our staples of how the Hurricanes play. So I had to give credit to 2 guys that kind of held those spots down. But yeah, I'm not too surprised by our list.
Yeah, so one final recap. Kat, Rod Brind'Amour, Cam Ward, Sebastian Aho, Jacob Slavin. I had Rod Brind'Amour, Eric Stahl, Sebastian Aho, Jordan Stahl. So both Stahl brothers, Aho, Brind'Amour. He had a little bit of the mishmash, like you said, of different positions and the impact that they had for your folks. So that is your Carolina Hurricanes Mount Rushmore 2026 edition. I'm sure this will continue to change throughout the years. Again, if the Canes win more cups, whatever the case may be, we would love for that to happen. Would love another parade. But in the meantime, we're just waiting to raise that banner to start the 2026-2027 season. So we'll get back to you guys
We're
as
about
the anticipation
6
continues
weeks
to grow.
away? Almost six-ish weeks away.
I believe just under 6 weeks now. So as the anticipation grows for opening night, we will keep you guys updated. For the love of God, I would love the Keishan to just sign a contract so we could talk about that, fill the caps a little bit. But nonetheless, I'm sure that'll happen sometime soon. So again, Jarvie's contract was like at the end of August, I believe, as well. So sometimes things take time, and I am an impatient person. But that's all for this episode.
Good thing you weren't here in the dark years, my friend.
Yeah. I was here for the dark years of the Bears, so I can stand anything, I think, in my opinion. But NHL announced the hometown remixes, but I don't think those are getting released until the end of the season. So potential for the next episode, a little snake draft of our all-time Canes uniforms to get you guys fed again before training camp starts and the season really gets rolling.
Yep. Next big thing for the Canes is before the season, I think, is the 5K. So sign up if you haven't, because they sold out last year and they may do so again.
That's right. A lot of things going on in the Canes for September. So that month will be rocking and rolling ahead of opening night. But we'll see you guys again in 2 weeks, and then we'll get back to our weekly schedule in September. And we'll see you guys next time here on the SurgeCast.